Great. I'd rather be wrong and him living than me being right and him being dead.
For our next session, I need to warn you that we are going to encourage interactivity of a certain nature, but for those people's troubles, they will get a small present from our speaker. There has been longer debate, especially at this conference, between the value of paramedic versus tactical medic versus MD, not least because of that thing that happened in 2020. The world of medicine became quite important. So I'd like to bring up to the stage our next fireside chat leader, Krisztian Zerkowitz, who has, you'll have seen him on many other panels that we've done, but this time we're going to basically do a fireside chat about why this applies to you. Krisztian, do you want to stand and do this, or do you want to? You're good standing. Okay. Let me get you a mic, and then let's explain the interactivity. So, Chris, over to you.
All right. Hello, everybody. Really great to be here. We're going to talk a little bit about medicine, and as Felim already said, the goal is going to be to make it a little bit interactive. And interactive means I prepared a little scenario, very much EP related, something that can happen to anybody. It has happened in my work a lot. It has nothing to do with what I'm holding in my hand. It's not tourniquets, it's not the very cool stuff. It's just the daily stuff that might happen. And all I want to do is, before Felim and I kick off the chat, just get two people in front that are working on this EP detail with a principal. And I'll tell you what happens, and I just want to see, and let's share how are you going to deal with that. And based on what happens there, we can have a little talk and see what the difference is between having a medic, a first aider, an EP guy who has done FREC 3, MIRA, whatever you want to call it, or having a paramedic or even a doctor on the team. So I don't know who wants to volunteer, and I'm pretty sure nobody does, because why would you? You want to volunteer, that's great.
Alrighty.
And who wants to be his teammate? Anybody? There's nothing that you can fail. All you can do is get a free tourniquet and a patch, and the tourniquet is worth about 35 euros, which is, I don't know, 10 pounds or something. Oh no, you stay there. Anybody? Don't leave him hanging. There you go. All right, well, be on the team, that's fine. A lot of people that are on teams are not EP. Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. All right, Felim, do you have the...
Not as slides, but in paper format I gave you.
Oh, okay. No, I sent you the slides.
As well?
Yeah.
All right, well,
that's okay.
You do it, and I'll get it up on the screen.
No worries. All right, so you guys will have time after the mission to meet each other. So it's a day like a couple of weeks ago. There's some snow. You're coming out of the hotel, whatever hotel, the Rosewood. I was just there. And you're stepping, yeah, it is really nice. You're stepping outside, your principal steps outside. He's a 52-year-old gentleman, doesn't have any medical condition that you really know of at the moment. He's fit, he's good to go. I mean, he's 52, that's not so far from my age, so he's fine. He walks out and as he steps on the pavement, he slips, falls, goes down, face plants himself, and there you stand. You're his protection. You didn't fail because I heard this sometimes. If your principal slips and falls, then you failed as a close protection officer. I am married. I walk next to my wife the whole time, and the many times she has fallen I didn't catch her is amazing. It's because that goes so fast. You don't see that coming. So you're fine. You're still fine. How are you going to deal with this?
I'll ask him if he can hear me. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he can hear you just fine. He's answering you.
Right. And how is his breathing?
He's breathing. It's a little bit elevated because he kind of had a scare, but he's breathing.
Okay. Any bleeding I can see?
No bleeding that you can see.
Okay. Where did he hit the ground on his body?
Well, he fell onto his side.
Okay. And can he use all the muscles and appendages on his side?
Yeah, his limbs are absolutely moving, and he just tells you, my hip kind of hurts, but it's logic. I fell from this height onto my hip. It kind of hurts.
Okay. I could ask him if he could stand up by himself or with help.
Yeah, it hurts, but I can stand up, and we really need to get to this meeting.
Okay. I would suggest that my colleague and I help my principal up, and we try to move towards the vehicle or wherever we're getting where we're going.
Okay, fantastic. So you're lifting him up, and he kind of stands up. He stands on his feet, and that really hurts, but I'll be fine. I really need to get to this meeting. You going?
I think if it still hurts when he's standing up, I'd want somebody more capable than I to examine him.
Yeah, but I want to get to that meeting.
Okay. Could we have somebody meet us at the next location just to have a look at you?
That's going to be real hard explaining to NHS. Like, I got somebody that fell. I want you to look at him, but he'll be in the meeting while you... So that's not going to work.
Okay. Do I have a team backup or paramedic I could call upon?
Is there any medics or paramedics in the room?
Besides your good self.
Beside myself? Yeah. Anybody? Nobody? It's funny because usually when you get on a job and they ask you, are you a medic? Yeah, I am. I'm also a medic. So we all say when we're on the job, and then this happens. Right? Okay. So I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. Can this happen in your daily job as a close protection operative? Could this fall have serious consequences for your principal? What could be those consequences? You go ahead, because you have been talking too much, Ellis.
Sorry. I'm quite happy that you were talking, Alice. I was just listening. It's fine. Just a couple of questions that I might just be asking as well.
Go ahead, please.
It's just maybe as to have they got any other injuries? Is this something that has happened before? So it's not just, is there a pre-existing there? Because they could have a hip issue or something like that, that this is then knocking.
They could have had a hip injury. They tell you that they don't have a hip injury, that it's normal.
And they're going to carry on. Okay. So they want to go. Nothing's going to stop them from going to this meeting apart from what we say next. Is that correct?
It might. It's just that it's your decision. Because, and I'm gonna keep it short because I don't have the whole day, unfortunately. But all that I want to demonstrate with this is the following. And after that, you guys are getting your tourniquet because you're standing here. Yes, I could tell my principal, sure, get up and walk if you can. But now they have a femur neck fracture, and every time they stand on it, that really sucks, but it is going to be fine. Next time they sit down, you know that big tube that runs from here, goes down, and then splits here somewhere, goes down, and carries their good red stuff? That gets pinched between the two, and as he's sitting at the meeting, he goes white, he starts sweating, he's not feeling too well, and he passes out. And you are outside, because you're not in the meeting, as EP. What are you doing? On your phone, Googling what can happen to a guy that falls on their hips. And you read they might bleed to death, and you will find out an hour later. I'm a paramedic. I spent about 4 years in school learning about paramedicine, getting a bachelor's degree in this. If my principal, who's 52 years old, falls down on a slippery, just coming out of the hotel, fresh in the morning, and I see that, I want him examined. And you might want to get to your meeting, but I will explain to him the 5 things that might be wrong with his hip, which might actually kill him. And that's the big difference between your principal knowing that you're a paramedic and you're actually a doctor. You just earn less and spend 2 years less at school, well, maybe 10. Or I'm a medic, I did Frac 3, and you're not bleeding, so there's actually not a whole lot that I can do for you except give you paracetamol. And those 5 things might be life-changing. And as soon as your principals find out that you are a paramedic and that you actually know stuff besides all the high-speed, low-drag stuff, they might actually listen to you. And when you tell them, sir, we might better go inside, we'll call the medics, we'll have you x-rayed and see what's wrong with you. Because if you don't, you will end up in hospital anyway. And they will be thankful for that decision. And yes, I know that in the executive world, if the principal says, we are going there, we are going there. Unless you can make a compelling case.
It's having that knowledge, isn't it? It's being able to actually have that conversation and then
Exactly.
believe you. Because if you don't have that medical background, they're going to go and carry on.
Exactly. If I tell, well, maybe your hip is broken, they will tell you, I don't think so. They will Google what that looks like. No, if my hip is broken, this is supposed to be like this. A lot of people have broken hips in here. I've been looking around, a lot of you stand like this. All your hips are broken. No, it's not. It's just anatomy. It's different with everybody. However, I know that at 8 o'clock in the morning when you come out of the hotel, you're all fresh and your muscles are still sore from the night before, and you slip and you just fall real hard on an icy pavement, something might be broken. Actually, 5 things that might be broken. And that might end that guy's career. Or you might just give them a good time, send them to a hospital, they x-ray him, they say, sir, there's nothing wrong with you. Great. I'd rather be wrong and him living than me being right and him being dead. Make sense? I just wanted to do this so we get into, because Felim is going to ask me some really hard questions. Well, this was the whole, I wrote it down, so if somebody wants to re-examine what happened to this guy. Was he 52 years? Yes, he was. Fantastic. So thank you so much for standing up here doing this. Here you go, your tourniquets. Never use them. If you do ever use them, give me a call and I'll give you a free one. You are not allowed to make the injuries yourself. All right, thank you so much. Give them a big hand of applause.
Thank you.
All right.
And thanks for bringing that to life. It's really good to spice up the format. We've got panels and firesides and presentations and then role play as well. I said at the beginning of the day we want it to be useful. But let's get into it, right? Tactical medicine. Is it the medicine you don't really want, but there's no one else? A bit of an inflammatory question, considering you're a tactical medic. But there have been a lot of people that said, oh, well, paramedic is a protected term, and medical doctor is a protected term. And yet, tactical medic is what is often available. What are your thoughts on that sort of more contentious idea?
So, I am a tactical paramedic. Whatever that means, because I just went to paramedic school and I'm also in the military, so I put the two together and now I'm a tactical paramedic. I think the biggest problem is that tactical has become a very, very cool thing to say. And everybody's tactical, and everybody needs to have tactical emergency casualty care, the tech course. Whatever you do, and everybody's putting in the same format, and we're all preparing for everybody to get blown up and shot and stabbed, and your principals are having a really bad day, especially when you see the trainings. They're being in the worst possible car crashes. I've been doing medicine for 25 years. I've distributed about 20 kilos of paracetamol, 500 kilos of ibuprofen, and I've pulled about 5 tourniquets in places like Afghanistan, for example, not in London, while protecting a principal. So I think it's really dangerous for the executive protection agent, and I'm not talking about the private security detail operator working in Mali today or in Nigeria, but the executive protection agent that goes to school and says, I want to have tech. Please make sure that you have some tactical medicine background, but don't call yourself a medic. You are a great first responder if everything goes bad. But what are you going to do with your tactical medical skills if the principal comes to you and says, hey, my shoes really sucked and I've got a blister? I am sure that 90% of the men, I'm not talking about the girls because apparently girls get a lot more blisters because of the shoes you wear, but the men need to Google, was I supposed to pop the blister or not? Put the compete on first or do I rip it off? And you got to Google that. Now, if you're a medic, you don't need to Google that. What do you do with blisters? Do you pop them or not? No? Depends where you're from. I love popping them, especially when they're nice and full. So it's dangerous to call it to go to tactical medicine, because tactical medicine has its place. And yes, it's good to know about it, and everybody should carry a tourniquet. But I just got pulled aside by somebody who told me, yeah, we are losing a lot of limbs in Ukraine because everybody's pulling tourniquets, and hey, wait a minute, we pulled a tourniquet, now we've got an evacuation time of 25 days, and we're losing limbs. Yeah, because you need a paramedic who can do a conversion and who can keep your limb. We don't need that in London, because if in London I don't have somebody with me within 1 hour, an NHS paramedic, then my smallest concern is me losing a limb. Because that means London just became an environment where I can't have an actual paramedic. So it's great to be able to do that, but it's much better to know the difference between paracetamol and ibuprofen and which one am I giving to you when you've got a headache. Which one for headaches? Yeah? We give you an advice. 1 gram of paracetamol with 400 milligrams of ibuprofen, and that headache is gone for the whole day. It's really bad for your liver, for sure, I don't have to worry about that. I'm not a doctor, so.
All right, well, let's then dive into the remote environments that you were talking to, because we've done a lot of practical stuff, and I know I said I'll keep it practical, but you operate in a lot of remote environments. When you're providing protection in a remote environment, what's the operational reality for a tactical medic? Maybe not someone as skilled as you, but you know, what does pre-deployment planning look like, and how can you really get ready for that?
So pre-deployment planning is one of the hardest things in private executive protection. I don't know how many of you have ever tried to ask a principal, hey, any medical issues? Yeah, that's none of your business and it doesn't matter. It's reality. Most of the time you don't get that information. They would maybe give it to you in an envelope where they say, hey, this is the telephone number for my MD. If you need it, you can call them. That's great, calling them from somewhere in the middle of Iceland where your sat phone is still frozen, but okay. And then you call them in the US because it's an American client and you're working and it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you call the office of the doctor and they don't reply. Like, okay, I really need to know if this guy is allergic to medication. So getting that information is vital, especially if you're taking it out into the woods. Secondly, what gear can I take? I started out as a normal medic. Like I did my TCCC 2-day course, fantastic. I was a doctor. I saw my first patient. Oh crap, I don't know what to do. I need to study more. And my kit, as I knew more, started growing. And then I became a paramedic, spent about a year in the field, and now my kit is shrinking. Because I wanted to carry everything and have a solution for everything. So that's also a consideration. How much space do I have and what can I actually carry? Yes, I do want to have a patient monitor on myself. I want to have an AED and I want to have all this stuff, but will I be able to carry that? Will that fit in the vehicle? Will that fit with the client's requirements? Can I carry that? Are we walking somewhere and am I taking all that stuff on my back? Or can I work with smaller kits and have some stuff in the vehicle? So I need to plan for that. I need to plan for the environment. What is the client going to need? And I'm going to say something that's not going to make me popular and people will be like, okay, what is this guy talking about? But if I'm going to be going somewhere where the nearest hospital is about a day and a half away, I might not take the AED. Yeah, I knew I was going to see the faces go, what? Because if I have a patient that cannot see a doctor within 1.5 to 2 days, I will shock them back to life. They will suffer for about 2 days, most likely, if they don't get the right medication. Because in the movies, you shock somebody, they get better, and they are discharged from the hospital the next day. In an austere environment, if somebody gets a heart attack because of heat stroke, and they're having a heart attack, and you don't have the meds, that's going to suck, and it's going to be a bad day in the office for them. So I might consider bringing other stuff, or having contingencies if this client does have a potential heart problem. So there's a lot that goes into this planning. More is less, less is more, 1 is none, 2 is 1, and make sure that the kit that you bring, you know how to operate.
So on that, and again, this is a tech forum, which, to be fair, we've explored tech-denied environments quite heavily in our tech forum today, but what about some of the new kit? I saw at one show this automatic chest compression machine. You can apparently leave it whilst you go away. I don't know how that would work. What do you see as some of the new and innovative tech that you could start to bring, especially in these austere environments?
Yeah, patient monitors. I just got my hands on a cosinus patient monitor that goes in the ear, and it gives you the full patient monitor on your phone. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a Bluetooth device that transmits the data from the patient. It gets you basically the full spectrum of the patient's vitals. It comes onto your phone. Everybody in the team can monitor it as long as you have the app, and it's fantastic. It's not really, it doesn't take a lot of wires. It doesn't take any wires. You just put it in the ear of the patient. It's fantastic, and it's big like this. It fits into your pocket. So I have a patient monitor with me instead of walking around with my big Zoll or whatever you use as device. I have a patient monitor that allows me to check my patient's vitals if I'm transporting them over a long period of time. This tech is great because it makes life so much easier if you're on the go. The AEDs that are getting smaller, HeartSim, I think SimHeart or HeartSim, they brought out an AED. It's extremely small. It's not in the US, it's not approved yet. In the UK, it is. but it's very, very small. You can literally fit it in the crease of your back. Hey, that's fantastic because AEDs used to be huge. Now they're getting smaller, allowing you to carry it more discreetly, have it on you. You don't need to have your big backpack, because they always pick the medic out of the team because it's the only one carrying a very big backpack. And if it's me, it says paramedic on the back because I'm proud of being a paramedic. So.
Well, yeah, and then we get into being covert and overt and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have a patch that says NHS when I'm in London, and then I'm not part of the team.
That's handy. Not that we really want to revisit 2020, but in 2020, a lot of people got super interested in telemedicine because, well, they just wanted access to a medical doctor, and telemedicine seemed to be the way forward. You don't actually have to see the person and infect each other with things. How has telemedicine evolved since then? Has it become practical, desired, fashionable, unfashionable? What's been going on?
Telemedicine is absolutely something that we use, and it has two reasons. First of all, because you get somebody who can sign you off on the things that you are about to do. When I get in touch with my telemedicine, it's my medical director, and I tell him, hey, this is what happens, this is the mechanism of injury, this is my treatment plan, this is what I want to do, and this is the kit that I have, because a lot depends on what I have as kit. And then they will look at that through the phone, and they will reassure me to say, hey, that's a good plan, go ahead with that, and I will sign the paperwork for you. It gives you reassurance, it makes sure that you're doing everything right. Maybe not, but if a doctor says that you're okay to do it, you're doing it right, because it's on their responsibility. So telemedicine has become, especially for austere environments, a really, really good thing, something that is used a lot, that we use the whole time. And clients love it when you tell them, hey, we've got telemedicine, so we basically have a doctor, I am his hands, I can do all the procedures, but he's going to make sure that I'm allowed to do it because it's the right intervention for this client.
Which, you know, it's a lot more practical than bringing an MD on every mission, isn't it?
Well, it's, I wouldn't say it's more practical, it's less expensive. Bringing an MD or bringing a paramedic, it's zero behind the lines, less expensive. And on the other hand, I had this discussion also a lot of times. People are not going to like it, especially if there's doctors in the room. But doctors don't really save lives. They make sure that you stay alive. It's the paramedics that do it. I have had so many doctors come to me and say, Chris, could you put an IV line in? Because I don't really do that. So unless you have an austere a doctor who is an austere doc who does that, it's great. If you got an anesthesiologist on your team, fantastic. They will bore you to death, put you to sleep, and get an IV in. But there's a lot of doctors down there that don't do IVs anymore, that don't do those type of interventions that you need in the field. So you're better off having a really good paramedic that can listen to a doctor and do everything under the right guidance.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that hierarchy before, which is a nice way of putting it. But of course, we have been doing a lot of tech denied or austere environment questions. You know, could be tomorrow London is austere for any number of reasons. You said at the beginning, if London doesn't have paramedics available, then you've got bigger problems. But what about any austere environment? What's the decision-making tree look like for a tactical medic in an austere environment? Could be here, could be Mali.
That is actually not that hard. It looks like a very hard question, and when you put it on paper for me, I looked at it and I was like, okay, how are we going to tackle this? But actually, it's not that hard. I've got a bookwork, that says, that was written by my MD, by the medical director of the company, and they said, this is what you can do, this is what you're allowed to do, and this is a skill that you're not allowed to do, but if shit hits the fan and you really want to save your client, this is what you need to do. If things go austere, then legally saying you are not allowed to do more than your scope of practice. Of course not. And it's even worse because of the fact that I have a paramedic degree. It doesn't allow me to do some stuff because it's outside of your scope of practice. So you're not allowed to do that, and you know about that. On the other hand, if it really goes bad and I need to do a life-saving act, then I will do that life-saving act. And you are going to explain yourself later. And everybody says, yeah, but it doesn't work like that because your insurance and the this and that. Yeah, absolutely. But you asked me the question, What would you do if all of a sudden everything went bad and you do need to poke a hole in somebody's side because you know that's going to save them? What are you going to do? Say, hey, no, because medical direction says I am not allowed to because I'm only a paramedic, let the guy die? Or poke a hole and hope for the best? I think when things go dead south, it's a personal decision. It's a decision that you make right there. But when things go outside of your comfort zone in medicine, you do what you need to do. Ask the same question for an EP guy. You're driving in convoy and you're followed and this car becomes very aggressive. Are you going to ram it with your armored vehicle? You're not allowed to do that because you're just private security. You're not allowed to ram anybody. And if somebody dies in the vehicle that you just rammed, that's murder. Are you going to do it? Yeah, probably. Because actually that's what they hired you for. When it really goes bad, you are the one that needs to react. So it's a very, very thin line on what you're going to do. But if it goes that bad that you have to practice outside of your scope, somebody made a really bad judgment call on hiring you, or something went really, really bad and then nobody cares. Because it either becomes a book written in prison or it becomes a really good story for a conference.
All right, more in the here and now, a lot of protectors who have done a FREC course might suddenly find themselves the only one with any degree of medical training. And you found yourself probably somewhere like Car or Chad or somewhere unusual where you are the only tactical medic. One thing we don't discuss, but perhaps is of value to the audience, is the psychological reasoning of being the only one. Is it a problem? And if it is, how can they react?
Is it a problem? Yes, it is. Because there's a reason why ambulance staff, there's two. Because you don't have enough with one pair of hands, especially if you're in an austere environment. You cannot do everything by yourself. Psychologically, it's a really heavy burden. I usually go into my missions. I love the preparation because I get to check my kit. I open it up and I look at the very expensive kit that I bought, and it's also sexy and nice and cool and packaged, and I love it. And then I close it, and then I take my defibrillator and my patient monitor, and I know what I paid for it, and it's such a beauty. You go on the flight, and you're really cool because you're taking the monitor and it goes through the x-ray, and people are, oh, are you a medic? Yeah, oh, that's so cool. I wish I were a medic. No, you don't. Okay, and then you get in country, and then you're standing in Africa, and you're standing waiting to show your passport, and it's hot, and you see what it looks like, and you're like, oh man, something goes south here, that's gonna suck for everybody, including me. And then you get to your hotel, and then you open that little door that's really bad, and everything just looks bad. And then you're driving, and then you're picking up your client, and then you realize, in this traffic, if this car flips, and I've got injured people, man, how am I supposed to do this? How am I going to be extracting you, solving the problems, putting in IV, preparing the bags, making sure the meds are still right? Somebody needs to heat that up. I need this. Oh, by the way, we need to call the doctor because it would be nice to have a little bit of a signature. And that sucks and that burdens. And I sometimes come home and my wife will go, so how was the mission? And she can see I'm completely exhausted. She's like, oh my God, did you have a lot of work? I didn't do anything, the entire mission. But so tired of the psychological stress of, man, if something happens, everybody will look at me. So now what, doc? Dude, I don't know. Because I have never seen somebody in this state. Why don't they prepare us for this? Well, they do because they put you through scenarios, but apparently every patient is different and everything looks different. And all of a sudden you're all alone and everybody looks at you. And then you look at your CP guys and you go, do you know how to spike a bag? Spike a who? Oh man, really? No, I did some medicine in the military 20 years ago. All right, stick that into that, please. Make sure there's no bubbles in the line. What line? Oh God, don't stick that in there, stick that in there. And that burden is heavy. So when people say, I want to go into the medical side of things. Yeah, I get that. I wanted that too, and I'm really happy. And I tell you why, what the nice thing about it is, I usually don't wear a suit. I'm in jeans and a t-shirt and really comfortable shoes. And when they ask, why are you not in a suit? Because I'm the medic. And we don't have to be in a suit because I'm usually just sitting somewhere waiting for shit to happen. That's nice about it. But it can be really tricky to be the only one that is there to solve a problem.
So I guess where then does this leave us? We're trying to find advice for our community, tech, non-tech, tactical medic, non-tactical medic. A lot of people have done their FREC or similar training, pre-paramedic training, all sorts. What should they then do, especially to overcome this feeling of, oh dear, I'm the only one?
So my advice always is make sure that you become the best basic life support provider that you can be. Make sure that when you do CPR, that's the perfect CPR, the best CPR that you can give. Make sure that you do a basic stop the bleed course so you can deal with that. If you want to do more, then stop whatever you're doing, go to school, become a paramedic. Because I'd much rather have somebody who is a really, really good basic life support provider that I can tell, hey, you do that and keep doing while I'll do the rest, than somebody who's looking at it, well, if it isn't cool and tactical, I don't know what to do with it. So if you're going to be on an EP team, either be just a BLS provider and say, hey, I'm not a medic, but I can do CPR for an hour and I can do it perfectly. Or become much better than that and know a lot more. Do a minor injuries course, minor illnesses course. Know what to do about whatever happened to all of us just taking a basic first aid class. Just a first aid class. Knowing what to do if somebody's overheating. How many times does it happen that you're at the Summer Olympics and your principal is sweating and all of a sudden you're not sweating anymore and I feel dizzy. Oh, here, have a drink. It's funny because I remember when I used to be young, we used to have first aid classes for almost a year every Wednesday after school, and I would know what to do with a heat stroke. Now you go and do a tactical class and they teach you about tech and they talk about shock, but nobody knows what to do with a heat stroke. Because it's not in there, because it's not cool, you can't make a really nice and cool scenario about heat stroke. But it's what actually happens, and I want you to be able to deal with that. I don't want my EP guy to be calling the medic because somebody doesn't feel well after not having drank for 6 hours. So be really good at the basics, or be really good at all the other stuff. But if you're sitting somewhere in between, you're going to be lacking somewhere. And that's what you will wake up to, and you will realize, man, I did this 5-day course and they told me I was a medic. No, you did a 5-day course and you know what to do with the bleeding. While they're shooting at you and bombs are exploding and there's smoke in the dark. Why there would be smoke in the dark, I still don't understand. It's either dark or you use smoke. But you can do that. No, be the best or be really good at the basics. Sitting in between is nice on paper, clients love it, but it's gonna bring problems for you at some point.
Very good. Well, Chris, thanks for this very interactive fireside. Let's give him a big virtual round of applause. Not virtual, real. Thank you.